Hello, I'm Jim Demlin with Clark County Close-Up. Thank you very much for meeting with us.
Oh, thank you very much for asking.
So first of all, congratulations on your recent appointment to District Court. I have to ask, why did you seek this appointment?
Well, first, thank you. It was a surprise to me that the counselor selected me. Obviously, it was a life-changing event. I never thought that I wanted to be a judge. In 2013, District Court gave me an opportunity to be a pro tem judge, and a pro tem fills in for the regular judges when they're sick or on vacation. And I got an opportunity to do that, and they would call me once or twice a month. Typically, maybe multiple judges would have trials, and so they would need coverage. And I found that I absolutely loved it. They pay you to do it, but I used to tell them at District Court, I'm like, I enjoy this so much, you really don't have to pay me. I mean, it was something that I did not expect to enjoy that much. And I was a partner at a law firm at the time with Wheeler, Montgomery, Sleight & Boyd, and I was doing criminal defense work and prosecution. And I figured that I would be with the firm and just be a practicing attorney for all of my career, but the more I did it, that continued in 2013, 2014, 2015. I loved the work. And so that sort of told me that someday, I'm only 39, so I wasn't necessarily in a real hurry, but I thought someday I would really like to do this full time. And I just can't believe that time is already here.
Congratulations. So for our viewers, what is the role of District Court?
It's interesting to me. Since I got the appointment, I've had a number of my friends and some family members say, Chad, what do you do in District Court? And after this interview, I'm going up to speak to the Kiwanis Club. I was asked to do that, and I think the person that asked me to speak, he asked me to explain a little bit about what we do in District Court. So it's very much come to my attention that a lot of folks don't know what we do. I like to call District Court the People's Court. My former law partner, Andrew Wheeler, I think he might have been the one that first said that, so I'm probably stealing that from him. But we handle a number of different things. We handle lower-level criminal cases, so misdemeanors and gross misdemeanors. We handle some civil cases. We handle people that are involved in civil litigation under a certain dollar figure. But then we get to do some really fun things. We do name changes for people. We do weddings. One of the things that I didn't really understand that I was going to get to do in this position was perform weddings for people. Oh. And so we're assigned weeks where we do weddings after court. And so, one day I performed 11 wedding ceremonies. And it was just so enjoyable, so much fun to see how excited the people were. We do traffic tickets. So I think one of the reasons that we talk about being the People's Court is most people in Clark County, if they ever have to come to the courthouse, their involvements with District Court, and it's either because they got selected to do jury duty, or they got a traffic ticket that they're coming to deal with. And so I would say that we see a higher volume than they do in Superior Court because we handle a lot of the smaller things, the tickets and the different things.
Okay, let's talk about your background. What was your background before becoming a judge?
I really feel like I was blessed in the jobs that I was doing as a practicing attorney, in that I think they prepared me well to take the bench. As I said, I was doing criminal defense as part of my primary practice. I was representing people on misdemeanors and felony cases, so I was in court on that side of it. In 2009, our firm was chosen by the city of Battleground, Richfield, and La Center to be their misdemeanor prosecutors. And so for the better part of 8+ years, I was 1 day a week, I was out in the city of Battleground prosecuting misdemeanor cases. So I got to do the other side of criminal defense. And there are very few attorneys in town, there are a couple, but there are very few in town that get to do both sides. And people used to ask, gosh, Chad, is it weird to one day you're prosecuting someone for a crime and the very next day you're defending? It wasn't weird so much as I just felt lucky to be doing that because it made me a better lawyer. If I was looking at a case, I would look at it both, if I was prosecuting this case, how would I try to prove it? Or if I was defending the case, what do I think the prosecutor is going to do on this case? And so getting to look at cases from both sides, and then in 2013 when I started pro temping, I was handling some of the same dockets I'm handling now, traffic tickets and criminal dockets and name changes. And so when I was chosen by the counselors, I was extremely excited, and this was an amazing opportunity. One of the things that made the transition easier was I had done so many roles that were going to help me from day one.
That's great. So as you've taken the bench, what are some of the goals you want to accomplish in district court?
Well, I think becoming ever more efficient. There is a limited pie of resources, money, that every organization has to deal with. And you have to figure out how to best use that money. And that changes over time. What we wanted to put our funds towards 20 years ago or 10 years ago or even 5 years ago is different than what we want to do now or what we'll want to do 5 years from now. So I think we constantly need to ask ourselves, what are our goals? What are the things that we really want to focus on? You know, the legislature continues to make more laws, more things become criminal, and so more people are in court for more things. That puts a lot of pressure on the court and on the prosecutor's office and the public defenders and other folks. And so you have to make sure that you're always focused on what's really important. The most serious crimes that we deal with in district court are DUIs, domestic violence crimes, some assaults, thefts, things of that nature. And so, but there's a lot of other crimes that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So there's a balancing effect of, well, we have to take these things seriously, but we always have to keep our eyes on the most serious crimes we deal with, the most important things that we're trying to accomplish. So I want to try to be part of that solution with the other judges, with the prosecutors' offices, with the public defenders' offices and the retained attorneys. How can we get better? What can we do better? What are we not doing as well as we could? Or just maybe the general questions of, why do we do this? And I feel like being the new person, I can come in and I can just, because I don't know the answers to some of them, I can say, why do we do this? And people are nice enough to say, well, this is why we have done it in the past. And I think that starts a good conversation about, should we keep doing it, or is there some tweaks that we might be able to do? I certainly don't have all the answers, but it kind of starts with just asking the questions.
Sure. For the majority of the general public, what we know of judges comes from TV shows. I'm sure it's not very accurate. What's your typical day like? And like how much time do you spend in the courtroom, and what consumes most of your time?
As a judge, your calendar is very structured. I mean, I can tell you what court dockets I have between now and the end of the year. I would say you're in court a good amount, especially most mornings. We have morning criminal dockets Mondays and Tuesdays of a lot of weeks. You're in court morning and afternoon certain weeks. And then we have trial dates 3 days a week for a couple 2 weeks a month, and you never know when a case is going to go to trial, so you might not have a trial for a week or two, or you might have trial on back-to-back days. And so depending on the month or even the week, you can be in court quite a bit. I enjoy that, especially being a new judge. I feel like I need to be in court as much as possible so that I can get the repetition and so that I can see different things happening, dealing with different legal issues. Your goal is to do a good job, and the best way to do that is being in court and just doing your job as much as you can. So people have asked me over it's not quite been a month since I've been a judge, how's it going? And I say, man, it's busy. There's a lot that we're doing, and so, but it's such a great job. And every day that I'm walking into the courthouse or I'm sitting in my office about to take the bench, I think about how lucky I am to be here. So that's,
That's wonderful. During a trial, what are some of the major goals you're trying to achieve?
I had a judge tell me recently I had to preside over my first jury trial after only being a judge for 8 days. They threw me right in. Judge Zimmerman had 2 trials that were going on one day, and he couldn't hear them both, and so they said, well, we're going to have you hear this case. And Judge Osler's our presiding judge, and she helped me the morning of that trial with a few things. But you're a referee. You know, I've done a number of trials as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney. And, you know, you prepare your case, you know the facts, you know your witnesses, and you think you know what the other side's going to try to do, and you go present your case. As a judge, you don't know much about the case, and your job as a referee is to, you know, if there's objections or if there's disagreements between the prosecutor and defense attorney about what's going to come in, you're the person that decides that, and oftentimes you have to decide that at a moment's notice. So it was definitely more stressful sitting in the judge's chair the first time than it was in the attorney's position, because those decisions fell to me and me alone. And again, you want to try to make the best decision, the right decision. Of course, there's appellate courts above me, superior court, and courts above that, where if I make the wrong ruling and they disagree with something I did, they'll deal with that at a higher court. So you're just trying to do the best you can, but that first trial, I lost a little sleep the night before, and that morning of, I was a little nervous because you wanted to just do the right thing. And it was a different point of view.
Yeah, interesting. So district court administers a number of specialty programs, such as therapeutic specialty programs, driver's license restoration programs, and night court. Do you serve on any of these programs?
As far as the night court goes, yes. In fact, I was in night court last week. That's typically a traffic court situation. And the district court judges and the commissioners handle the night court docket. The commissioners handle most of them, but the judges, I think we handle them 1 month, every 6, or a couple times a year. Most of those folks are coming in, they're after work, they're on traffic tickets, and they want to explain what happened. Sometimes they want to ask for a reduction in fines. Some of the folks have never had a ticket before, so they're not exactly sure what to do. And, you know, yeah, you've had a long day at work and you got to stay even later, but I always find that night court, we used to have it out in Battleground when I was the prosecutor out there, and I always enjoyed night court. I mean, it was a situation where these are working folks. We give them an opportunity not to have to take time off of work to come, you know, deal with their court situations, and so I enjoy that piece of it. The specialty courts, as the newest judge, I'm not assigned as a judge to any of those courts, but as a practicing attorney, I had experience with both the substance abuse court and the mental health court. And I will tell you, Jim, we were talking about resources and where we're trying to put resources and how get the best bang for our buck and help the most people. And these specialty courts are ways in which they've been trying to do that. You know, sometimes people are charged with crimes and a thought might be, well, you just put them in jail. That's the only thing that you can do. Some of the folks, typically, specifically in the mental health court, some of these folks that are sitting in jail, really probably that's not the best place for them, might not be the most appropriate place for them. It's the only place for them right at that moment because they've been charged with a crime and they were arrested for good reason by an officer. But some of these folks are not able to function on a level. They're not making a choice of, I'm just going to go out and commit this crime, or I'm going to be a criminal. Whatever's going on with them mental health-wise doesn't allow them to make sort of the same decisions or the same life choices that the rest of us might make. And so trying to get those folks who are charged with a crime, or sometimes a number of crimes, hooked up with services, mental health counselors, getting some of them on medication, getting them some benefits, oftentimes that's the best way you're going to keep these folks from coming back, which is the whole goal. Mm-hmm. If someone commits a crime, we'd like to deal with that case and then not see them again. And so if through the mental health court, some of these folks who are not as able to handle their day-to-day affairs as the rest of us, if they're able to get services, it can make a huge difference in their life. The substance abuse court folks, you know, I'm of the belief that, you know, alcoholism or certain addictions, they can be a disease. And in the same way that we would never get upset at someone who got cancer. You'd never say, oh my gosh, you got cancer. I can't believe that. That's so bad of you. This is my own personal belief that sometimes folks that are dealing with those issues, it's the same sort of disease. It's the addiction mentality that takes them over, and it makes them something or into a person that they're not. And Judge Osler was the substance abuse court judge for a long time. I think it's Judge Langsdorff right now. And those judges have, I think, an opportunity to make a real difference, because instead of just sanctioning someone to a bunch of days in jail and throwing away the key, the court gives the person an opportunity, sort of a show me situation. We're going to give you an opportunity to access these services. If you mess up once or twice, well, we might put you in jail for a day or two, but we're going to let you out to keep trying. And as long as folks are working their program, I mean, it gets, if you can see a person in the midst of addiction who's in jail, charged with multiple crimes, and then they work through this program and graduate at the end, and they're done with court, and they're not on probation, and they're not committing crimes, and most importantly, they're clean, man, I mean, I'm not sure what better things we can be doing with our resources in the criminal system than to help people work through those things. Not everybody is amenable to that. Some of the folks don't graduate, and those stories are sad, and then jail is the only alternative. But I think these specialty courts are a recognition of, kind of like we were talking earlier, asking, what are we doing and why are we doing it? I think these specialty courts are an example of that.
Well, thank you very much for meeting with us, and,
Yes.
and good luck with the court.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Sure.